You're listening to the Procuretech podcast, your weekly show for all that's cooking in the digital procurement space. Yes, we've got the hottest startups, thought leadership, and conversation from visionary industry experts, and definitely no stiff corporate content. I'm your host, James Meads, Procurement Pro, Digital Nomad, and Procuretech fanboy. And now, here's this week's show. Yes, welcome to another episode of the Procuretech podcast, where we bring you everything that is fun, innovative, and exciting in the digital procurement space. Continuing on with our series of interviewing industry experts and thought leaders to get their thoughts on all things digital procurement from their little angle or little niche in this world that they play in. And my guest today needs absolutely no introduction to most of you, but we'll do an introduction anyway, just in case. So Susan Walsh, the classification guru herself, is my guest today. Susan, thank you for joining me. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me again. I always love our chats.
So you were actually one of my first guests back in series 1. I think it was the 5th episode that we did. So that would have been round about April 2020. So, when we cast our minds back to what was happening in the world back then, your business, either by coincidence or just by
sheer determination,
by fate, really, the fact that what happened with lockdown and with remote work and everyone needing to get their data in order has really boomed since then. So for anyone that doesn't know you, or indeed for those that do, just give a quick background of, where you've come from, how you started out, and your sort of unique take on the digital procurement space and how it affects you and what you do.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride the last couple of years. I've had the classification guru for just over 5 years now. I didn't come from a data background. I fell into it by accident. I went to work for a spend analytics company and did so for 5 years, and then decided to go it alone. I thought, there must be companies out there who just want their data classified and normalized. They don't want the analytics part. And as it turns out, over the years, there's been a huge move from outsourcing spend analytics to bringing it in-house. Most departments have some kind of analyst now. That just didn't exist 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But people still struggle with the classification, the normalization, the cleansing part. So that's where we can help. We also help with things like supplier cleansing for P2P implementations, where there's like 5-10 different versions of the same supplier with similar addresses, but not quite the same. We do CRM systems, and I'm working on an exciting project outside of the procurement space right now, but still classification for retail category management. So we're taking all the different sources of data that can be bought and categorizing them to one taxonomy. So that opens up a whole new area. So basically, if you've got a data problem, we can probably help you with it.
And obviously, because you're not a tech solution, essentially, you're not featured on what we're doing with procurementsoftware.site, but there are a lot of companies out there, mainly in the spend analytics space, that claim to do master data classification, maybe claims not the wrong word, that do master data classification, but perhaps the amount that they can do automated versus, what they need to do on the back end to augment that data and to make it foolproof is perhaps a little bit misleading. And I know you like to talk a lot about that. So, that leads me on to the next question that I was going to ask you, which is, how has procurement technology impacted you and your business with that sort of in the background?
I would say, if anything, it's helped my business. I think that for years, in the procurement tech space, they've done a very good job of, and actually it's wider than procurement, it's data in general too, but, buy our software and it will fix all your data problems. And the reality is that actually you have to have clean data before you put it into a tool or software. Or if you do have a data management tool, the people who are using it have to know how to use it. And there's definitely a lack of knowledge, awareness, and skills in this area. And I think it's really good for us to be realistic about what all of these tools can do and actually There are a lot of tools out there that say they're automated, but nobody ever thinks to ask what percentage is automated. There's an assumption naturally that it's 100% automated, but the reality is, I think if you look at most of the companies out there, there will be a team of people behind that automation tool also working away in the background. The difference with us at the Classification Guru is we're saying, hey, we are manual eyeballing it first and then automation even second, because it's so important to get it right and clean the data before you automate it.
And there are also software or tech companies out there that do have a more hybrid approach. I'm thinking Creatives is probably the most obvious example, that do offer consultancy off the back on top and are very open about that, but their solution is very much focused on, enterprise level complex material master data more than vendor master data, isn't it? In their sense, they do a lot in the MRO space. So, there clearly is a model to have a hybrid as well.
Absolutely.
Then there are the other platforms though as well, aren't there? That do the more sort of scraping and using AI to sort of clean the data. But I'm thinking sort of Tealbooks and Scout Bees of the world are the two that immediately spring to mind. But they're not classifying data, are they? They're just essentially supplier discovery platforms that can help to clean and categorize data as part of that offering.
I think they maybe categorize it in some instances, but again, you're scraping information from the web. Where's that data coming from? How do you know it's valid? Is there somebody behind that, a human, just double checking that? That's my take, is you should always just have someone double check, someone who knows that industry, the area, etc. And back to the point about Creatives, like you hit the nail on the head there. They are focusing on a specific industry in a specific area. You will find that automation is far more successful when you focus on a specific area. If you're buying a tool that is going to try and cover off every single industry in the world, then you're going to find that it's not going to hit the mark as well, because it's trying to be everything to everyone. But if you've got a specific tool for a specific industry, then it's going to be far more successful and accurate.
Yeah.
But always think about where is the data coming from, and I think it's really important within organizations. I always say you should know your own data. Verify whatever you're buying in with what you know, just to make sure it's right. I mean, it's even just an hour, just to check it, just to look for anything obvious that's not right. Because if anything obvious is not right, you're probably going to have other problems.
So do you think there's... sorry.
I was just going to say, it's easy to say when it's, but when you have millions and billions of rows of data, then obviously it's a bigger problem. And that's why just spot checking to make sure it looks right is a good way to just sense check and gauge what's going on.
Yeah, and generally the bigger the organization, the bigger the dirty data problem is, right? Because they've grown through acquisition and they've got multiple ERP systems. A mid-market business might not have the in-house expertise or the resource, but their data is not going to be as dirty as an enterprise company that's grown through acquisition over the years.
Yeah, it can be a real trouble, and not everyone knows where to start. Quite often I hear, we're going to try and do it in-house, which, gives me the shivers, because I know I could do it quicker, or we could do it quicker. We could do it more efficiently and accurately, because we do it day in, day out. And something that might take them, 6-12 months, we could do in 2-3 months. It's just, getting that buy-in from the business to that.
So, this can either be in the data space or it can be another area of technology entirely. But could you maybe give me one area of procurement where you feel that tech or digital transformation is going to have, or is already having, the biggest potential impact? And that can be essentially anything. But what's the biggest trend that you're seeing in terms of tech's impact on the profession?
It's great. There's so much going on in the space right now. It's really hard to pinpoint something, but I think certainly the kind of P2P process now is automated. I've been at a lot of events recently. I've seen you there too. And there's been a lot of talk around fraud and how people can get away with fraud. And this kind of tech, which will scan the invoice and it'll process it, helps to minimize things like fraud.
Yeah.
So you don't end up with the same invoice being paid twice because it's named slightly differently or things like that. And, the biggest data problems start with people. So if you can remove the points where there is the most likely to be errors caused by people, then that's great. So invoice scanning, processing, going through a system. But again, you always just need someone who is knowledgeable in the area, just overseeing everything and checking that it's still working and it's still right. Don't just take for granted that because something's working today, it's always going to work.
I didn't expect you to say P2P, but I'm kind of glad that you did, because, if we open it out and include sourcing in there and look at wider source to pay, I think there's so much talk now about strategic procurement and, things like AI-driven negotiations and automated tail spend. And this is all very, very relevant, especially in enterprise. But I think once you get down to smaller businesses that have probably not even started with any sort of digital transformation yet, just having something like a process automation bot in AP without even having to invest in any specific software, but just getting a company to build a bot for you to automate or simplify some of the most repetitive tasks, especially if you've got your purchase admin or accounts payable clerks working in high cost countries. I mean, that's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's efficiencies, it's accuracy, it's saving money that on invoices that could be paid more than once. It's helping to minimize fraud. And especially if you're in a small business, the impact of something like fraud or paying an invoice twice is so much more devastating than in a larger organization where this can be absorbed without people even really noticing. And, as a small business owner, it's, there are not enough hours in the day as it is. And if you're tired and you're suddenly paying some bills and you make a mistake, just to have that there and not have to worry about it is...
Yeah, no, it is. And I think digital technology is a means to enable procurement professionals to do what they should be doing almost, isn't it? In whatever angle you look at it from, whether it's P2P or whether it's data cleaning or if it's automating some low-level negotiations for one-time spend, the common topic that it always comes back to is it frees up expensive, valuable knowledge workers to be able to do something more relevant to their profession that they should be doing.
Yeah.
Hey, so just a quick interlude to let you know about procurementsoftware.site. This is a new website that I recently launched to give you, the listener, a free-to-access, intuitive guide to digital procurement technology. You can filter on a multitude of different criteria and pick out a short list of procurement software solutions that are relevant to your business and your needs in less time than it takes to boil an egg. No corporate subscriptions, no complex jargon, and definitely no pay-to-play model. We are a completely transparent, open book, and we really want to get your feedback on what we can really do to make this user experience better and constantly improve so as we're providing value to you. Check out procurementsoftware.site. And now let's get right back to this week's podcast. Yeah. So, I mean, to what extent do you think that digital will be the driver in elevating our profession versus, I don't know, something like black swan events or geopolitical instability or, just the necessity of, things like inflation causing procurement to have a bigger light shining on it? Where do you think tech plays into that in terms of its importance?
If you're freeing up that valuable time, you can then focus on the more strategic efforts and really look at whether it's cost efficiencies, rationalizing suppliers, negotiating better deals with existing suppliers, finding new ones. You can focus on the more strategic efforts a lot more, which in turn will benefit the business. And actually, even just giving you time to sell procurement within the business. I don't think procurement do a very good job of promoting themselves and the value that they bring. And I know some people try very hard, but I think there's still a way to go on that. And automating some of that is either going to free up time or it's going to do some work that just isn't getting done. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win. And from what I can see, there's still a lot of manual intervention going on in the whole procurement process, from contracting to managing suppliers to spend analytics, all that. There's still a lot of manual intervention, which means that it's prone to errors, mistakes, fraud, etc. If you can automate as much of that as possible, you're minimizing all those things, hopefully increasing profits for the company because you're being more efficient, you're focusing on the things that should be, and you're not
absolutely
getting ripped off.
I think just the last thing that I wanted to ask you, as a small business owner, one of the things that you have to be very mindful of is future-proofing what you do. And you said, one of your USPs is, doing a lot of manual work to ensure accuracy before you then put it through, automation or through a process to do the classification. How are you, without giving away any secrets that someone might copy, how are you future-proofing your business then, knowing that, tech is getting smarter and smarter, and at some point there will be a spend analytics platform or a data analytics platform that can probably get, 95% of the job done using AI and machine learning. I know we're not there yet, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that it's probably just around the corner. So there must have been a lot of thought that's gone into sort of future-proofing what you do or evolving it to ensure that it maintains its relevance, in 3-5 years' time.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, yes, there will be automation, but that's only going to be affordable for the very large organizations. There's going to be a whole midsection that can't afford that. And they might only need something once a year or once every 6 months. And so the need for people to clean data is never going to go away. That's the truth. However, I'm not just sitting on my laurels. So I wrote my book last year where I share a lot of my knowledge. I'm not even...
What's it called, Susan? Go on, give it a plug.
Between the spreadsheets, classifying and fixing dirty data. And a lot of my knowledge is in there. And, I am not worried about sharing. I can't solve all the world's procurement problems myself. So I am happy to share my knowledge. I know that I can do it better, but I'm giving people a tool. The next step in my process is to build some online courses. Some will be generic data cleaning courses and others will be procurement specific. So supplier normalization, building a taxonomy, and spend data classification. So, there's literally nothing out there right now that I can see in that space. So it's really important for me to get something out this year to at least provide an option to the market.
The classic idea of being able to serve many if they don't have the budget or if they're too small to be able to afford you as a one-on-one service.
Yeah, why should, give them the option to try and at least do something. And I can't spread myself that thin and get around everybody. And, I want to keep a small, tight niche team. There's 6 at the moment. Won't grow much bigger than that, I don't think. However, my next plan is to build an actual product, a software as a service tool that I think is going to blow up massively. I'm not going to tell you any more about that, but that could create a lot of jobs as well. So that's future-proofing my business.
Awesome.
I've got all the areas covered. But for me, my whole ethos is about making life easier for everybody. We're just trying to take that pain away from getting things done that you need to get done.
That's it. There's too much busy work in procurement, isn't there? No matter what it is, there's too much busy work in procurement. We need to take the scissors to it, eliminate it, delegate it or automate it.
Yeah, there's definitely so much room for improvement. But, we have to change our mindsets.
So final question, I was just going to say, where can people find you if for some unknown reason they don't know who you are and they're not already connected with you on some or other social media platform? Where's the best way that they can get in touch?
Well, LinkedIn, Susan Walsh, the Classification Guru, is the best place. I've also got my website, theclassificationguru.com, and you'll find all the links and connections and different places you can find me from those 2 spaces.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of that in the show notes, as well as the link to Susan's book if you want to pick up a copy of it from all good booksellers, and probably a few rubbish ones too. We'll leave it in there for you to get some of Susan's wisdom and sage for a very affordable price. Susan, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up again. Good luck with your travels for all of the speaking gigs that you've got coming up. And speak to you soon.
Cool. Thanks very much.
Okay, that was Susan. For anyone that doesn't know her, a real sage in the data and classification space, and well worth a follow if you're not already following her on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We'll be back again in a few days' time with our next episode. Until then, check out procurementsoftware.site if you want to get a free, easy to use, filtered directory of all of the cool procurement tech out there, not just the big boys that sell to enterprise businesses. Thanks again for listening. Catch you again soon. Take care and bye for now.